Hi there. So this week I chose to do the video for the discussion question. I think it's a great opportunity to really dig into what I think about trauma and how it affects the brain and the stressors that it causes. So if we look into our book, Fostering Resilient Learners, ACEs or adverse childhood experiences can be explained by not okay and inappropriate experiences that children go through from birth to 18 years old. So we do know that, and we know that it affects their readiness to learn, but it affects also a lot more than that. It was interesting because when I was reading it, I know a lot about ACEs. This is the area that I work in my school is with behavior and trauma and how we're going to work through those traumatic experiences to have the best outcome. So some experiences can include substance abuse in the household, mental illness in the home, witness of domestic violence in the home, death of a parent or loved one, parent separation or divorce, or experiencing abuse of the individual. The study of ACEs discovered that nearly 35 million U.S. children have experienced at least one childhood traumatic experience between 2011 and 2012. To me, that was amazing. That's a huge number, and that's something that we need to have more proactive pieces in line so that we're able to reduce that number. But really, we need to think about how we're going to put those practice pieces in line. So students that should have higher ACEs scores directly experience higher scholastic struggles, which doesn't surprise me. I think if you are experiencing abuse at home, or you're seeing domestic violence at home, or you've experienced divorce or separation of your parents, or a death of a loved one that was close to you, how are you ready to learn? How are you ready to cope with what is really going on in your head and able to listen to what the teacher is talking about? Whether it be academically, we're teaching, math, reading, writing, or we're teaching about social emotional, that student is not in the place to receive that information in that moment because they are working through their own baggage and their own traumatic experiences. So it really means that the more traumatic experiences, the more severe, or taking a toll on the students' ABCs, attendance, behavior, and coursework, which again, it didn't surprise me. It's something that I see every day in my line of work. My lens is unique with the students that I work with, and so I think this discussion question really hit home, and it was something that I was like, I know this. So in Evergreen School District, the school district that I work for, we tried the NEST program. The NEST program is a program where we thought, hey, let's put together, well, we didn't think, some guys in suits thought, so people at the district level thought, let's put together a program that addresses traumatic experiences and experiences that were adverse to a normal childhood. And we decided, okay, let's put them in a program called the NEST. And we started with a kindergarten program, not last year, the year before, school year. And it's a great program in theory. The problem is there were not enough trained individuals that had trauma-informed care and practices to best help these students. There were, I think at tops 8 to 9 students with 6 paraprofessionals, 1 main teacher, a full-time counselor, and then a visiting counseling agency that would come and go throughout the week. It didn't work out. It actually ended up dissipating last year, where students that were in the first grade trauma NEST program in our district the program dissipated, and they were returned to their home schools. That was a pretty hard thing because that was something that we all thought that was going to be really good. So, but hey, we tried. We'll keep trying, right? That's the name of the game. Keep trying until you figure out something that works. So I like to talk about Ross Greene, an author and an influencer of several models to support children with past traumatic experiences. He has authored numerous books. 2 of my favorite books that he's authored are The Explosive Child and Lost and Found at School. Great books. If you haven't read them, please go grab them. They are amazing. I think that everybody should read them, no matter if you have kids that have, I think in this day and age, I would say you're at least going to have 5 of your kids in your classroom that have had traumatic experiences, at least 1. Divorce is high. Separation is high. Abuse is high. Those are things that are true. So those give a great perspective on how to cope and how to handle and how to address students that have traumatic and have had traumatic experiences. So this discussion post, I really thought more about the change. How are we going to make a change, right? So implementing and fostering a collaborative teamwork and open communication problem-solving model, such as the CPS, or collaborative and proactive solutions model approach, which is from Ross Green. So instead of using sticker charts, which if you use them, great. If they work, super. Or even the famous punishment, with still 19 states in 2017 that can still hit students. There has to be a change. There has to be a way that we are implementing different practices so these students are being heard, that they are being listened to fully, and we're having a collaborative discussion and problem solving where they're part of the solution. I mean, I guess if you put it this way, if someone was going to tell you, hey, for instance, your car, this is not super connected, but your car is a problem. You take it to a shop. You're like, oh, I just want an estimate, but they just go ahead and do the whole work for you. Well, what if you didn't want the brake pads that were, $200 more than the ones you wanted to buy? Yes, they're not exactly connected, but I think you get what I'm talking about. So we need to really think about the child. If the child is not able to understand why we want to place these interventions and help them with the interventions that we're trying to attempt to use, then how are they going to work? The child is part of the solution, right? So a quote that really, I actually have it hanging in my wall in my room of my classroom. Children do well if they can. That's from Ross Green. And that's true. If they don't have the skills, the tools, the techniques, the resources, they're most likely going to fail. And they're going to continue to fail until someone says, aha, we need to try this to see if it works, so we can get the kid back on track and with the rest of the population that is trying. Because they are trying, just in their own way. And then one more quote that I'm going to leave, just a word of thought. No one thinks punishment will teach a kid math or to read. And why we put behavior in a different category of developmental delays is beyond me. Again, that's from Ross Green. He is just a very insightful man, and I definitely suggest reading his books on his models and how we can proactively help students that have had experienced past traumatic experiences. All right, that is all for now. I hope everyone's having a great week so far, and I will see you online. Bye.